The 18th of September. This week is absolutely flying by for all sorts of reasons. I hope we're all doing really well today. Now we've got a show to go through today, and I guess one of the most pertinent questions really: has Amarin lost control? Can United actually come back from this? So we're looking at the financial results yesterday, and I'm not going to necessarily go through those. Question I think that we need to go through. Fan base, again, lots more leaks, so it's going to be a interesting show. Scott says, "What's good, JB?" Today's show, I'm going to take these out. Maybe not. Let's see what we can do. Scott, I don't know if you've played FIFA Club yet, but I can't play it yet. Annoys me slightly because I paid £100 for it, and Lampros says hello from Greece. Hello, my friends. Now, welcome to the channel if you've never been here before. We are a Man United football channel. We are more than just that. We are a community of people who I'm very much pro. You get your opinions in as long as they are respectful to the chat. Went on it for half an hour last night. Shocking, Scott. Shocking. I can't get access. I paid £100 for it, and I can't get access to it at all. So not happy. But I might do some sort of. I will do a show in it. I might even just do like a video and whatever else. Then I got kicked off. Now I'll have to wait till midnight. There you go. So let's see. So if you are new here and you've just got into the chat, then we are an amazing community on here. We're getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Getting your chats, getting your thoughts on the club. I drive the show in terms of the news that comes out. This is more of a news show in the morning, in the afternoons. I kind of have to, at the moment, until hopefully this channel gets a little bit bigger. I've still got to work, so there are still things I need to do. So there are no set times on here. So let's just get straight to it and get into the nuts and bolts of this. So one of the questions that I wanted to ask from a couple of days ago was more so around Amarin and is he losing control of this team? Now there is a secondary part to this about being backed. But what I wanted to go through are, so a couple of days ago, you had Indicator coming out with this thing where Amarin is going to get sacked. There's a project something or other whereby Amarin, apparently, if he's got 3 games to save his job. Now, I was of the opinion before that Indicator, is there some truth in this rumour that, Indicator basically said that Amarin will get sacked after 3 games, but then they went on to say that he might get sacked if the results improve, then he will keep his job. Now, Indicator for me, I think they talk a load of nonsense. Samuel says, "Yo, nice beard." Thank you. Appreciate that. It's just my natural beard, but appreciate the kindness. I think Indicator are talking it out their arse. Now, there is no way that these secret plans are going to be leaked to these bunch of chancers. Absolutely not. So there are what I wanted to do now that I've thought on this a little bit more from a logical perspective. Now, I don't think the only way for me that Amarin, and sorry to disappoint the Amarin outers on this one, is that the only way that I think that Amarin goes now is if he absolutely gets. Do you follow football? I do follow football. This is a Man United fan channel. That's what this is for. This is what we're talking about right now. So we're talking about the news, getting your opinions. What I will do on here, I will always try to read your opinions out, just out of respect. I have my opinions, and you guys have yours. Doesn't mean doesn't mean that my opinion is the end of the story. Doesn't mean that my opinion is right. I give you my opinion, you give me yours, and we talk about it. So has Amarin lost control? This is what, if you say Amarin won't get sacked, then we'll be fuming. Exactly, Scott. So get into the chat, give us a quick like, favourite, and subscribe. It does really help the channel. Press that icon to let you know when we post the video. I can be quite sporadic, but I try to work around my job and my life. So has Amarin lost control? This is what I wanted to get into this right now. I want you to give me your opinions. Has Amarin lost the backing of this squad? And I'll give you my opinion on this as well. So I think if you look at, and I'll take on board some of the things that people have said. So I was of the opinion. What are we saying? Let's have a little look. I'm going to have to take these headphones out because they're bugging me. So random AC player says hi, hello. I hope you're doing extremely well. The club needs a fresh reboot. No problem solving, mate. Are we going to get into that as well? Again, there are two questions. Paul says just sub. Thank you, my friend. Really means a lot. I don't think he lost the backing, but I don't think he had 3 games to sort things out. Now, I think, Scott, now with the annals of time, with overnight as well, it's difficult. And we will come on to that. Sadly, we would never be the team they were, just like Blackburn Rovers was in the 90s. Daniel, I slightly disagree with that, but I do respect the opinion because I've asked the questions. Bobby, legend of the chat. What I will say is that United are a big vehicle. Now, the financial results, whether you like them or not, and I'm not going to use those to justify the statement because I don't think that the position is ultimately good. So to go back to Daniel there, I don't think we'll ever go as low as that, but never say never, right? I thought that we would never get as low as we have been. We're 15th now. We need to turn this around. Now, Jim Ratcliffe, Sir Jim, is under the impression that we can get Champions League. Absolute ridiculous notion, which feeds into, I think, Amarin's position at the moment. So as Amarin lost control, now I think Scott is possibly right. If you look at Arsenal, given their results sort of last season and the way that they tried to play, I think if these players are completely down tools, now I do think these players down tools. Now what I mean by that, and I'll give you what I mean on that one. When I say down tools, I don't necessarily mean they've stopped playing for the manager, because I don't, as much as Bruno, I give him a lot of stick. I don't think that he would down tools in terms of just not play, because I think if you're a professional player, you're not going to down tools. But where I absolutely think is that when I say they're down tools, their heads drop. They can't cope. Their mentality is low. So instead of picking themselves up, which I know is difficult to do at times, their heads drop. And instead of trying to do what they can to pick their heads up, now there are some players who will, I think, to just go, I can't play this position, and I will, for example, Fernandes. Well, I tell you where the downing of tools are for him is his attitude. It's infectious. He's supposed to be the captain, lead by example. Now, I fully take on board that Amarin is playing him out of position, and he absolutely needs Fernandes. I think he needs Fernandes to back him. I think Fernandes has a big pull on the club, and I will give you my opinion as to why I think that is bad as well. That he needs Fernandes on side. He whether we like it or Amarin doesn't, there is definitely some player power there, and I think Fernandes has a lot of pull within that club. So I think as long as he has Fernandes to back him, now where Fernandes has down tools is, number one, he's not a captain. We saw this. We've seen this time and time again. No, I know he's in the number 10 position. He has created more chances. He's created different things, but he's not that midfield player that you need. So where his down tools is on his petulance, I think, is increased because he's not happy. You saw that with the penalty, and the referee basically accidentally stood on his heel, and he absolutely just couldn't get over that fact. He then decides to throw it. He chucked his hands up in the air. City, we were still in that City game, right? We lost, but City weren't great. He throws his hands up in the air. He moans and complains about playing. Instead of grabbing the game by the scruff of the neck, and what I mean is that he's passionate and he gets these players involved. There's all sorts of ways to down tools without stop playing. So these players, I think he's lost control? No. I think you can't get rid of the bomb squad without having some level of control. I just believe that this team at the moment has no confidence. They don't have confidence in the system. They don't have confidence in him. And what I mean is that they don't. When you see your manager coming out saying that sometimes he dislikes his players, sometimes he wants to quit this team, I don't understand how, as a player, you can be confident of that. I do think, and when I really talk about these players who down tools, and some of these players are low IQ players. They cannot get over their own. They cannot put their teammates before themselves. It's all about themselves. It's all about their brand. But Amarin has to take responsibility for playing Fernandes out of position, and Luke Shaw still playing. And I'm sure there's many players in this team who feel like they should be playing. So I don't think he's lost control. I wanted to kind of caveat to the side with leaks. Now there was talks, and we've spoken about this. I'll come to the chat. We need Rashford to continue his glimpses and help Rafinha to destroy Newcastle. Let's see. I'm absolutely staggered. You signed a striker, twos instead of a quality box to box. Capio, I agree. Mark Shu says Amarin looks unhappy. Pay the 12 million, because that's what's come out today. Start fresh, steady the ship. The one thing I'd say to you there, Mark, is who's going to come in to steady the ship. Let's say we sack him. It's going to cost more than that to sack him and his staff, right? It just will do. Who comes in? Who comes in to steady the ship? That's all I'm asking. I'm not saying that you're wrong. What I'm saying is who comes in to steer the ship. Usman says, at what point would you say Amarin's position is unattainable? You've been quite supportive of him, but I think fans and the media are starting to turn on him. Usman, my support from him, and I'll try and condense it down, is my support with him comes from, I don't believe last season was on him. Right? This season, he hasn't been given the players that he needs. He's been given players, but not the players that he needs. It's a collective thing. Now, I know a lot of players and media want to blame him for the signings. Amarin is a coach. He gets given players. Yes, he has a say in the players and has to okay the players. But when you're told this is what you will get, I think Amarin has been lied to. Sir Jim lies to us and spins a lot of the time as well. So lying and spinning is part of the culture in this club. I generally thought he thought he was going to get a centre midfielder. That's why I think he kept Fernandes, because I'm sure as shit he thought Fernandes was going to be his 10. But when you are lacking centre midfielders that you feel can do or starting, what's the guy supposed to do? Now, this season for me, he's got a couple of pieces of the puzzle that he needs. But this is still the team. This is not his team. This is still this team that finished 15th last season. I fully accept that these players don't like the formation. Fans don't. And I fully appreciate that. Where it becomes unattainable for me, even if he finished 15th this season, I would still keep him. give him another season, get the players that he wants in, and if he's still not back, then he needs to go at that point. If we get to another season, he's got some more of his players. The problem for me, Usman, is that I don't want to give a manager an excuse. Okay, so if we sack Amarin, right, the media will come back at us and say, "Oh, he wasn't that bad. He wasn't given his players." What I want is Amarin to be given his players, and then if his tactics and formation at that point, given he's a specialist guy, if his tactics don't work with his players, sack him at that point. I'd have no worries at that point. I just don't want to give him an excuse. Now, where it becomes unattainable for me, the moment we drop into the relegation zone, that is when questions will be asked. Now, Sir Jim's come out today and said that this squad he feels can get into the Champions League, because if you look at the financial reports as well, the lack of games is going to smash us this season. So revenue will drop. How is he going to get his players in for next season? So it's going to become unattainable, not necessarily for me, because I would back him until whatever position we finish. So as long as we don't go down, I'm going to back him because I think he needs time. But the unattainability is going to come from the club. So if, for example, Christmas time we're in the bottom 2-3, then I think that becomes unobtainable for the club. And I think at that point, I think they will probably pull the trigger. And again, I'll go through the chats, but then this sort of leads on to the sort of next thing where I think that, how long does he actually have? Did you hear that Ollie said he would return? Super Battles, I couldn't care less. Absolutely couldn't care less. Imagine Ollie coming back into this squad. I know people look at Ollie with these rose-tinted specs. Ollie is not the guy. He was never the guy. But we gave him that shot. Look at the money that they spent collectively on these players. He didn't get his players either. You look at the money that they collectively spent, and it wasn't good. Amarin wants to be sacked. Nice payoff. Capio, do I think he wants to be sacked? I can't tell. The one thing I will give up is that I can't tell. We can't afford the 12 million for Amarin. Scott, I agree with you, mate. We made a 33 million pound loss. We're going to hemorrhage money as well next season. The amortization may slightly go down, but we're going to lose money next season. We can't afford it. Just keep Amarin until the end of the season. Super Battles, I agree, my friend. Losing to City isn't a big issue. You can't beat the bottom two. Exactly. I'm not bothered right now about beating the top teams. I demand we beat the top teams. I demand we finish first every single season. But I'm not silly enough to know. But you have to have those standards to attain, to keep yourself accountable. We're not going to do that, right? So I'm not bothered that we lose to Chelsea. It is the next two games. We need to start winning games. And if we don't start to win games, then the writing is on the wall. Barto says, hi, hello, my friend. Capio says, you spent billions and don't have any midfielders who can run. Capio, we don't. We've historically spent money really, really badly. And, you can't, the Glazers have spent our money. So the Glazers have not put anything into this club. And yes, we've wasted billions of pounds, but that's not investment by the Glazers. That is money that we've earned and money that's been wasted. So not only have the Glazers not put in any money into this club, they've wasted money, racked up debt to the point now where their asset is basically going into the overdraft every single year. And you can't recover from that until you start to pay the debts. And we can't pay the debt because we're not in the Champions League, and we're not in the Champions League. So therefore, we've got less money, less games. So this financial situation is not looking great. Not Brett May, Southgate. You said, I'm not going to read that. Don't be silly with Southgate. Super Bat says, Shaw is a National League player at best. I think the injuries and time has destroyed him. Yeah, I agree with you. Super Battles, you're going to get other channels, which I've seen already. I don't watch them too much, but from what I've seen and heard, there is one channel where there's a certain person on there who thinks Luke Shaw is a world-class player. I think it's fucking ludicrous. Luke Shaw, once upon a time, was a good player, right? I'd never thought he was a world-class player. I think Luke Shaw has always been over-egged. Always, always, always. Since he got injured against, was it PSG, PSV, whoever it was, his career was never going to be a long career, right? But he's got worse. And as you say, the injury has curtailed his career, shortened his career. Is it his fault? No. Is it Amarin's fault that he still picks him? Yes. I wonder why he still picks him. But yeah, I agree with you completely on that one. Would you take Ollie bringing Keane? No, Mark, I wouldn't. I think this player, this ex-player, nonsense. Ollie has been here before and failed. Roy Keane, I love him as a player. He's a legend, but he couldn't manage to cross a road. Roy Keane, it doesn't translate. You know, the way that Roy Keane argued with Ian Wright, right? He's a very passionate guy, and if you could bring me back a player, I would bring him back. But that doesn't translate anymore. You know, he can't walk into that team and start shouting at people because it doesn't work anymore. You can't grab a player by the scruff of the neck. You can't get on the training pitch, and you can't grab them by the scruff of the neck because they'll complain to HR. You know, Roy Keane is of a time, and that time no longer exists. Keane would be sacked. Exactly. I do agree. I'm a Middlesbrough fan. Southgate took us from a team playing in a European final, finishing top 8 to relegation. Exactly. I remember Capello when you had, is it Emerson, Ravanelli, Mendieta, Juninho. I mean, all sorts of players. I mean, I can't remember who you sort of had in the rest of the team, but that team was a ridiculous team. Toxic, hey mate, hello my friend. Mornings, Brits, Benja. I think we need to stick with Ruben for longer. Lewis, I'm with you, mate. I'm an Amarin inner. Not blindly. Again, if you watch the videos that are sort of out there, I do explain that. For the reasons why I do. Bring Ollie back. Agreed. Sick of spamming. Yeah. I'm good, just chilling. How was not bad. Got to play it for half an hour, then it kicked off. He can't get back-to-back wins. Could we get relegation zone? So Mark Stewart, this is the thing, right? So one of the things I wanted to bring into this as well is and ask the question, right, Mark? Can we come back? When we're talking about big clubs, you know, people are gonna, you know, people talk, you know, they say that we're not a big club anymore, right? So we need to, I think we need to change the wording on this. So are we a big club? Yes, right? So you can talk about big clubs. So you can say our Leeds a big club. Yeah, they are a big club. Newcastle are a big club. You know, yes. No, we are a global powerhouse, right? Let's be clear on this, right? We're not just a big club, and people go, oh, you're not a big club anymore. We are a global powerhouse, right? We are we are the royalty of football, right? What needs to change is, are we a relevant club right now? And the answer to that is going to be no. If we went down to the Championship, we would still have 1 billion fans. People would still come to the games. People would still buy the tickets. In fact, I probably think if we went down in is the Championship like a 38 game season or something crazy? We'd have even more games, and so we'd probably make some more money, right? We are a global powerhouse. So what needs to happen now is this big club nonsense shit. It needs to stop. The question for us is, are we a relevant team? Okay, and then the questions that we need to to ask, and I'm going to ask you on the basis that Sir Jim reckons that we're a Champions League team, right? So my question to you is, what team are we? Okay, is that possible? Are we a top 4 team? Are we a top 6 team? Are we a top 10 team? Are we a top 15 team? You tell me what we are. Get in the comments. Tell me what sort of team you think we are. I think Sir Jim is absolutely. He has no idea. Okay, I think right now we are a. We've got the players to be a top 6, top 8 team. I do think that. Even though we have gaps in this team. Give me a second. Do I think we're a top 4 team? No. Do I think we're a top 6 team? No. Do I think we're a top 8 team? I do think we are a top 8 team. Players. Where do I think we'll finish this season? I think we'll finish in and around 10th or 12th. The reason for that is because of how the club's run. From top to bottom. How the club is run. We are not being run like a global powerhouse club. If you look at how Liverpool are run, if you look at how Chelsea are run, maybe them to a lesser extent, how City are run, how Juventus are run, how Madrid are run, they are prestigious. They've been run like prestigious football clubs. They've been run like, clubs that are a successful club. We're being run by God knows what. I don't think people know what's going on. There's such a lack of respect for the club. The Glazers, absolute scumbags. Ineos profess and Sir Jim to be fans of this club. Ridiculous. So for me, we're not. We've got the players, I believe, to be a top 6, top 8 club. But it's not just about players. It's about the whole football club and the image of that club. And we are by no means a top 5 club, top 4 club right now. And again, get in with your opinions on this. What sort of club are we? Byron says, just because Amarin isn't the man doesn't mean any of the other flops we've had are either. Just because Amarin isn't the man doesn't mean any of the other flops we've had are either. Yeah, I again, I've got to be balanced on this. Do you have a tip for an interview? Original. I do actually, because I've had many interviews. I've actually just got a new. I don't know if I should say, but yeah. Anyway, so a job. Yes, I've recently just got one. My biggest advice to you is be yourself, right? Know about the company, but just be yourself. I think you don't need to extend the truth. Just be yourself. Just, and I know it's difficult, but the best thing to do is just to relax. Ultimately, even if you don't get the job, sometimes you're not right for the job. Sometimes you don't want to work for them. But yeah, the biggest advice that I can give is just see it as a chat. They've got to convince you to work there as much as you want to work there as well. So it's a reciprocal interview. Seem engaged. Ask them questions as well. I'd always have a question prepared at the end, or maybe 2. And just ask them questions, be engaged, and seem like you're enthusiastic about the job as well. Every year we are not in the Champions League, 100 million, we fall behind. Scott, exactly, my friend. It costs us money. It costs us revenue from the Champions League. It costs us home games as well. The only way back to the CL is through an FA Cup. Simp Swan says Bruno is the problem. I don't think it's all on Bruno. I think Bruno is a massive problem. But I do think that it's not all about him. It can't be. As much as I'm not his biggest fan at the moment, I still want him to do well. I still support him when he plays. but as the captain, he is one of the problems. Mark Ronan says, when Lucha comes back, we may be more aggressive defensively. He has less fear to move up into the midfield, support the two CDMs. I'm not a fan of the system, though, to be honest. Mark, again, we talk about systems, and I get it. I read the comments out because I respect what people say. I think it's really, really important to have a balanced view. And just because I say things doesn't mean that that's right. I'll just give you my opinion on it. I think we're clutching at straws. Imagine we are hoping that Martinez comes back and solves issues. This guy's coming off of an injury-backed 2 years. I wouldn't be bothered so much if the ACL, or I think it was an ACL, was one injury, right? But he's off the back of two major injuries. My first thing here, Mark, is going to be can he come back? I want him to, but as I've said many, many times, I think he's done. I hope not. I cross my fingers. I like the player. But can he come back? We all saw with Luke Shaw when he tried to come back. Martinez will come back, but I just think that we need to be very, very cautious. I get it. I absolutely, if Martinez can come back to 90% of what he was, brilliant. And I think you're right. He will be aggressive. I actually would have him as captain. I think he leads by example. He grab plays by the scruff of the neck. And I can imagine Lucha is absolutely itching to get back on this pitch. He'll bring bite. He'll bring spark. But we have to just take it game by game. So we can't rely on him coming back. We have to think about how do we solve these problems without him right now. But I agree with the principle, because I do think that when he comes back, you'll see a completely different team. Davindra says, I think we're top 10 best. I think I'm in and around there. I think we're top 10 to 12. Scott, at the moment we're a top 10 team, but with the right structure and formation, we could be top 5. Scott, my friend, I think I like the positivity, but yeah, players are lazy and don't understand how to win. They think what they can do in FIFA happens in real life. I think that's an interesting comment to make. As we said, I think the players down tools, and when I say that, it doesn't mean that you stop playing. It doesn't mean you don't want to play. It just means that you lack the urgency. You're so enthralled in your own agenda and your own thoughts and your own career that you're not prepared to run through brick walls. Now, does it mean they don't want to play with the manager? No, because if they did, they won't get into the team. I just think that they're just not good enough. Like the Grimsby game. Let me give you an example. You don't need formation and tactics against a League Two team. You absolutely don't. I mean, they're a well-organised side, but if you're international players who are getting paid 300k a week, you could go and play those without a coach. You don't need a coach to tell you what to do. You could go and play those. I'd expect you could probably go to a Premier League team, pick a position from every Premier League team, and they wouldn't even have to be the best players. You could pick a position, put them together, let them train for a day, and I'd expect them to go out and beat a League Two team, because they shouldn't need to. After years of training and practice and being drilled, I would expect them to just be able to beat a League Two team. And when we're talking about when you down tools, we saw it against Coventry in the FA Cup. We saw it against Grimsby as well. They lack mentality and they lack the appetite. Watch along tonight, JB, for City versus Napoli. Maybe. The players we brought in are a crap FIFA AstroTurf use. Danny B, big up my friend. We can't just rush him back because he might get another injury. Nice big fireplace. Down the line, I mean, seriously. Yeah. absolute wally. So let's get on to the leaks. Now, I did a video the other day about leaks and where I thought the leaks were coming from. Now, do I think so? This is coming from the MEN, I think it is, basically talking about how United again have got leaks, right? I know we've got a leak in the roof, but we're talking about players leaking. There's no player. Now, I don't think there probably are leaks, but where I think the leaks are, thinking about it, why are these players going to leak to the MEN? I don't think that's true. There probably are some leaks, but it's probably a friend of a friend of a friend. I was thinking about this. Do I think it's Fernandes? I don't think it is Fernandes because I think that it would be I think it would be obvious, right? And obviously Sir Jim, etc., is not happy about these leaks. But I do think a lot of it is media spin. I do think they are clutching around for stories. The MEN have got a hard-on for this club. He's Amarin, a little girl who spits his dummy out pretty much every game. He is. I'm not going to disagree with that statement. I think that Bruno needs to buck his ideas up. But I think we said on him many, many times, Amarin is going to live or die on his hill with the Bruno Fernandes. If Chelsea, he plays Bruno as a number 8 again, he's asking for it. He's asking for it. Fernandes, we the problem is, right, my opinion on it is this. Bruno as a captain should be able to play anywhere on that pitch and influence. I know he's not an 8, I know he's a 10, but he should be proud to play for this club in any position that he's asked to do. He might be asked to do a job this season because he knows, and we know that we need a centre midfielder. And he knows, do you know what I'm going to do this season is I'm going to play for this club and I'm going to do my best in that position. I'm not going to stop. I'm going to grab these players by the scruff of the neck and I'm going to make sure that we do the best, and I'm going to make sure that I do the best that I can. And he's not doing it. And Scott, I'm with you. I would drop Fernandes. If I'm not going to play Fernandes as a 10, I would drop him like a stone. I would drop him out of this club. And what that would do, that will show Fernandes that he's not the boss of this club. I would show Fernandes that it's not all about you. I'd show the team that, look, if you piss me off, you're being dropped out the team. Now, the problem with that is, Scott, and I will be an advocate on this one, is that I don't think if you drop him, I think their heads will go as well. The problem that we've got is that we've let Bruno Fernandes be so influential in this club that I think if we were to drop him, the detrimental effect on these players will be huge. Like the Grimsby game, we saw that. We saw the Grimsby game. And I think the opposite would happen. We've allowed Fernandes to be such a pivotal part of this club and the makeup of this club that I think that their heads would drop. And I think it would have the absolute opposite effect on this team. So I think that Bruno Fernandes has to play. I don't agree with it, but I think he has to play. Bruno should play alone in a 10 role and then play 2 up front. That's a better balance. I play Mbumo but the problem is now, is that we have bought 2 number 10s. So Cunha is going to have to play. I know he's injured, and we've got some injury news on that as well. Is that the sad thing is that we have an Mbumo, that we need to keep happy. A Cunha that needs to be kept happy. I think he's backed himself into a wall because they're both going to have to play. And Cunha, he's not a winger. I know we've got Shesko who's going to have to play. So how do you fit those players into a system? And that's the bit that I don't get, right? So if you're playing a 4-3-3, you can make that work. because you can put Fernandez as a cam. It doesn't even have to be a 10. You can sort of play him as that free role, have two in the midfield, and then have him as that free roaming cam, and then play the Cunha etc. behind Šeško. That works. So the bit that I don't get thinking about this is that you've kept Fernandez as an 8. You bought two number 10s and a striker, but it doesn't even suit the system that you're trying to play. And what I mean is that you can't fit Fernandez in as an 8, the two number 10s and a striker. That doesn't even fit into your specialist system. So I am confused. I don't mind him playing the system that he wants to do, the back three, etc. But set your team up for that. Like, set your team up for that. But then someone's going to have to miss out. So this is what I don't understand, why we signed two number 10s. Now, Amarin didn't sign the two number 10s. It was a committee. So I don't understand what the thinking was behind the... Amarin must have said, look, I got this formation that I want to play. It needs to be X, Y, and Z. Get these players to play in that system. But they've gone for versatile players that can play in multiple positions. But Fernandez isn't a versatile player. That's the part for me that confuses me. That really, really does confuse me. Glazers out. It means 3 in the midfield, and we need competition for places. Kobe having to compete with Bruno for CDM is stupid. I agree with you. It should be no competition. Bruno is a number 10. Bruno is a number 10. Bruno is a cam. Bruno is a free roll cam. Where I would deploy him is I would go for, you have to revert then to a back 4. I'm not bothered about that. That's not my issue for me. The issue for me is, where do these players play? They need to be put in their positions correctly. And then I think you're right. I think if Bruno goes to a number 10, but the problem for me with Fernandez, he wants a number 10 position because he wants to be the star. He wants to score the goals. The problem, ultimately, playing Bruno in a 10 is he wants the attention on him. It's all about him. It's fucking petulance, and you're not going to get that out of him. He puts his hands in the air. He's petulant. He wants to be the star. He wants the ball. He wants to be everywhere. Give me the ball, and then he decides the tempo. He dictates the tempo of this team, and he decides if he wants to shoot. The last thing I want to see is Bruno in a cam, in a number 10 position, shooting from 25 yards. But again, I think people will need to be prepared for that. If we put Bruno back in the 10, maybe Amarin knows exactly what we'll get. We'll have the Bruno again that just takes the ball, shoots, wants to score all of the goals, controls the tempo, and it's just that will unbalance the team. So this is why I wanted Fernandez gone, because of the number 10s and I think Bruno is very, very imbalanced. Bruno brings the imbalance into this team with the way that he plays, the way that he demands the ball, and when he demands the ball because he wants to do it all. He wants to shoot. He wants to pass. It's all on his terms. And I really feel like, as much as he is a good player, he's the one, I think, that imbalances this squad. Glazers out. I agree with you. Batosa says hi. Hamid Singh says, hello sir. I think the players are not giving their 100%, even with this system. I don't think our players have less energy than the Grimsby players. It's not about that. I agree with you, but they're not giving... I don't think they're not giving 100% on purpose. It's their mood that dictates. And if you can't be bothered, right? If you're thinking, oh, I'm going to play in the number 8 again, or I'm going to be playing in this system that I hate, you play it, but you're not going to give it your all. So I just think that's what it is. I think it's a mentality thing. how you doing? I'm doing really well. My advice, manager, in pressure games, Mazraoui is 100% fit. No, he's not, lucky. Mazraoui is not fit. He's 100% fit, but he's not match fit yet. Where are we? Ahmad, wing back. Kobe, main new start midfielder. I respect the opinion, but Ahmad is not a wing back. You can deploy him as a right-sided winger type. I don't even think he's a winger. I think he's a creative. I think he's a wide number 10. You can split him to play wide. I think he suits a 4-3-3. I don't think he's a cat. I don't think he's a wing back. His defensive, he's not very good. Going forward, he's great, but he's not a wing back for me. Winston Churchill's hopefully United get relegated to League Two. Winston, I admire the banter. It's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen, is it? So you can talk about it. Winston, I think is very, very what's the word? Simplistic, right? I don't mind coming on here, banter. I think it's quite respectful. Absolutely no qualms about having respectful banter, but back it up. Like, tell me why. Like, Winston, tell us why you think we'll go to League Two. I don't mind people saying, "Oh, we've got League Two," but give us a bit more. Stop being so simplistic. Tell me why. If you think that, oh, it's because the Glazers are going to make you skint, and then Sir Jim is a fool, and these players are not great, you go to League Two. Fine. If your argument was you'll go down this season because the players are not great, working for the coach, you think the coach is bad, and then if you then go to League Two, you've got to sell all your players, and then if the players are not great, they will be able to handle the pressure. Again, being in the Championship would be absolutely awful, and then maybe you go down again. But give me some arguments, give me some reasons as to why you think that we will go down. Mark says 3-4-1-2. If Amarin is sticking with the back three, although I prefer having the wingers. Cunha and Bruno compete for the number 10. Kobe and Ugarte in the midfield. Sheska and Mbeumo up front. Yeah, I don't think that that's I don't think that that's a bad ask. Harmsing says, "Oh, we have a Scouser in the chat." Look, Scousers are welcome here. Absolutely no problem at all. Admire the banter. We're not even in your stratosphere. So it's basically a bit like Veld, Bookie. It's a bit like, right, you're laughing at somebody who's not even in your. It's a bit like, right, imagine you've got the big house, you've got the flash car, right, and you literally are driving up to somebody on a council estate. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, right, and you're standing there and you're laughing at them, right. We are not in your stratosphere. We're not even in your conversation. We're a bigger club as you, but we are irrelevant to you guys. We are absolutely irrelevant. So to laugh at us is a bit like, I wouldn't even waste your breath. To be quite fair, I wouldn't even waste the letters, because we're not in your stratosphere. We're not in your league. Laugh away, but Emmy, life is like a camel fighting a three-legged horse over a giraffe because they saw a rhinoceros trying to pick its with no fingers while a cat laughs with a squirrel eating Weetabix. Emmy, I don't know what you've been smoking today. I don't know what you've been on today. You've clearly been doing something interesting. Shane says it's a bit like 20 years ago when the roles were reversed. Yeah. He says, "I'm sorry, but that would be heaven." United in League Two. Look, I am not going to. Again, it's an opinion, right? Again, I like respectful opinion. We don't mind the banter. You're not looking at the title challenge until at least 2047. Winston, mate, I can't disagree with any of this. I can't disagree with anything that you're saying because ultimately it might be true, right? It might be true. I can't defend it because, and this is the point that I wanted to come to as well, right? We in terms of games, right? We're going to play as least games since 1914. We are breaking records for the bad reasons. Now, yeah, we've got income, bloody, bloody, blah. Take that away from it because we make such a loss. This is the worst start I think that we've pretty much ever had. The least games at home we've had since 1914. In terms of a ratio of wins, Amarin I think is the worst coach in terms of that as well. We are breaking records left, right, and centre. So I can't disagree. I'm not in a position to come back at you. I'm in a position to give you my opinion, and it's based on my opinion. I can't even base it on a logical opinion because logic says to me that could we get worse? Yes, we could, but I don't really want to think about it. Shane says we need 5 players: centre back, 2 midfielders, 2 wing backs, and then we'll challenge possibly a new coach too. Shane, possibly, mate. What I'll always say about Amarin is that was he the right guy? I don't know. With this team, I'm going to say no. Only because that, Amarin needed a squad of players. He wasn't given that squad of players. Why hire him? Why the bit for me where Ineos and they prove how incompetent that they are, and I don't think this gets said enough, right? And if you have heard this said, then fine. But what I don't think gets said enough is how incompetent are Ineos to think that, number one, to shy away from a 4-3-3 that we've always played, okay? Then incompetently go and get a manager that doesn't play this system. And if you're talking about how we've played, why move away from the values that we've always played with? We've always played with wingers. We always play attack football. So why move away from that? That is Ineos is incompetence. Then you hire a manager, and do I say that he's maybe the wrong coach? Yes, I do, because we didn't have the players. Then didn't get him his players, so incompetence there. And they're going to persist. Now, I don't want him to be sacked. But at what point do you go, Ineos, what have you done? You've confused the situation. So will they go back to a 4-3-3 that everyone is like hankering after? But also then they've gone and bought more players for a system that we don't play. So this for me is on Ineos. Chelsea haven't beat us at home in 12 years. The Great White Charlie says, does football matter when you're being replaced? I don't. Do you want to give me a little bit more on that? Jamie Vargas, legend, my friend. Man Utd can make a comeback, but have to keep a manager and let the system. Yeah. Give the manager the resources he needs. It's like a relationship with a woman. You never know if it's going to work out if you don't give it time. Exactly. But Jamie, sometimes you give it too much time. Yeah. We just need to try a different system. Other than the revenue, United have turned into a small club that sometimes surprises big team. Yeah, I mean, sorry, Jan. This big and small club stuff to me is irrelevant, right? Are we a big club? Yes, right. In terms of size and fans, We are a big club, as I've said already. We're a small club in terms of the mentality of the owners and the mentality of the club and how they actually think we are. But we're not a small club, right? We are an irrelevant club, right? We are an absolute irrelevant club. So when we're talking about small, and again, you can reference what you like. I'm not here to tell you how to use your words. But for me, I truly believe we need to get away from this big club, small club stuff. We are a big club, right? I'm sort of not tired of saying it, but I think that should prefix everything, right? If you look at the fan base, you look at the stuff, we are a big club, but we're more of an irrelevant club, and we're being surpassed further and further by Liverpool, Chelsea, City. Those top four teams. We're being passed. And how are we going to catch up to them? I just don't know. Keyboard says Ruben is a massive. Jamie Vike says you're a legend, my friend. Jamie, you're far too kind. You're far too kind. Shane Constantine says United need a Zabosley or Tonali type of player, box to box with energy. This was obvious. Shane, spot on, mate. Absolutely spot on. I could not agree with you enough. Absolutely spot on. We'll probably beat Chelsea and lose to Brentford. Shane, that wouldn't surprise me. I mean, if we get back-to-back wins, if we can win the next 3 games, then maybe that turns us around. But I don't know. We are the biggest club in England and the world, Jamie. I agree. As a fan, it's only misery on weekends. Hope you see the days when you believe in the team, excitingly waiting for any match. Exactly. It does bring us great stress. But guys, on that note, I do have to go. I do have to get back to work. I'd love not to. I just, Chelsea are rattled after buying last night. Stats say they struggle on Saturday. Shane, I really hope so, my friend. So, guys, I am going to go. I need to get back to work. That's the reality of trying to do this and trying to work as well. Hopefully one day I can commit to this. I know I've got loads and loads of stuff planned, so hopefully one day I can make that happen, but until then, apologies, because these shows are up and down. I can only go when I've got the time. So guys, thank you so much for being here. I'll always say new to the channel and sub. Thank you, Shane. I mean, absolutely is amazing. I do flip between vertical streaming and like a normal stream. It just really depends. Scott, legend as well, my friend. So I will be back. I should hopefully be back tonight. I'll try and do a game tonight or something else. I am going to start. I've got a little plan about doing something else on the channel to do with like Xbox games and that kind of stuff. So we'll see how that is. FC Club 26, I'm going to do that as well on here. So I've got tons of stuff planned. I want to do more videos about different stuff as well. So let's see what happens. Tell your friends about the channel. Get as many people as we can on here. This community is amazing, and it's only as good because of you guys that support the channel. So thank you so much for being here. Have a good rest of your morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are. Take care. I'll see you on the next one. See you later.